Okay. Thank you, Mr. Molina, for agreeing to attend this interview. I am Tricia Crowley of the League of Women Voters of Champaign County. One of the major missions of the League is to provide information to voters to help them decide who to vote for office. In this consolidated election of 2025, one of the most important races is for a seat on the Unit 4 school board. This is an interview with Mr. Molina, who is running for a 4-year term on the school board. Kitty and Emma, do you want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Kitty Miller. I go to Central High School and I'm a junior.
Okay.
I'm Emma Constante. I'm also a junior at Central High School.
Okay. The interviewers, as you've seen, are Unit 4 high school students who are student ambassadors for the League of Women Voters. So the candidate will have a 2-minute opening. We'll have 1.5 minutes per questions and a 1-minute closing. So let's start with an opening. Mr. Molina.
Yes, my name is Al Molina. I'm originally from Nicaragua, Central America. I've been in and out of the United States since 1969 when I was sent on a plane with a chaperone to Memphis, Tennessee. And then I was sent back to Nicaragua, but I don't remember the chaperone at that time. Came back into the US again in the late 70s after the revolution. And then went back again in the late 90s. And then there's another revolution. So I've been in and out of Nicaragua and in and out of the United States for the last 50-some years. And I landed in Champaign right before the pandemic with my 2 kids, my wife, and a car, and no place to stay. So we were just headhunting for a community to settle down. So we settled down in Champaign, and my 8-year-old ended up at Dr. Howard at the time, and then my daughter ended up at Edison Middle School, which is now at Central High School, which is 11th grade. And then I worked for Walmart for a little while, and my experiences are in aviation. I was able to get some multi-million-dollar contract with the Air Force through Boeing, through that E-4B, which is the 747 that the President of the United States flies. So we overhaul all the interiors, we repair them. So that was a large contract that I got for a company called Aircraft Interior Design. So I managed that contract. And then I've been an entrepreneurial, created a snow cone business in Puerto Rico, was very successful, moved to Costa Rica, created a biological station, which is a conservation area, but about 900 acres. Then moved to Nicaragua and did the same thing there, created another biological station with another conservation area. And then created a hotel about 27 years ago called Hacienda Mérida in the island of Ometepe. And then parallel to the hotel, I built a school from preschool all the way to 6th grade. So we ended up having up to 115 students. It's bilingual. We used to teach there, my wife and I. And we used to hire teachers to run the school.
Okay, I think our 2 minutes are up, so we're going to start with the questions.
Yes, go ahead.
What life experiences and skills do you have that would make you an effective leader of the school board?
I have experience with building a school from zero and building a school using my own money, my own resources through the profits. So I'm a firm believer that if you make and you're up there in the economic ladder, there's a way to come down to earth and reinvest into society. So that's what I've been doing all my life, reinvesting my skills through businesses and reinvesting those resources either towards the environment or towards education. So the school itself is made with eco bricks, which I invented myself, and it was built with 3,500 bottles compacted. So I have a stake on education. I've been doing this most of my life, one way or another, but I've never worked in the United States. I went to school in the US when I was a little boy, 9 years old in Memphis, Tennessee. and then a couple of courses at the University of Florida, and then Miami-Dade Community College. But most of my life has been reinventing the wheel, trying to make money through businesses and reinvesting the funds to the environment and to education. So I tell people that I choose to be poor.
All right.
What do you think are the 3 biggest problems at Unit 4, and what solutions would you offer?
Okay, there's several problems. One is the current board, the Board of Education that we have, that is very dysfunctional. So if I get elected, there'll be harmony. I'm not going to get into this tensions where the board is divided over issues. And then the reputation of the schools and the school system is pretty bad right now. So you need harmony, and you need somebody that will stick around for 4 years and will not quit, because it's another trend. So that's the board. I will not align with the administration. That's another problem that we have with the boards, that some board members will align with the administration and some members will not align with the administration. When I say that, is that people get too close. So when they become your friends, your pals, and you're rubbing elbows with the administration, then you're locked in and your decisions are compromised. So this is what's going on right now. So I will be forcefully independent myself from the administration when making decisions. Teacher salaries is very important. Retaining the teachers and paying them far better than what we do. And recruiting and hiring teachers, that's another huge problem. And I will assist them with international teachers and hiring bilingual teachers, so we can staff the schools with bilingual teachers starting in kindergarten. Because one of the problems we have is by the time students reach high school, they most likely haven't had any languages at all. So, and then they have to choose French or Spanish, and then they have a hard time, because I do volunteer at your school every Thursday with Miss Iselin Gutierrez. She's the Spanish teacher there.
Okay.
So you know the challenges that students are facing at the high school level with languages.
Next question.
Do you have any experience, especially volunteer experience, working with children?
Yes, I do. Just by the virtue of building a school from scratch, you have to get involved with recruiting volunteers, hiring teachers, run the school, volunteer at the school. Basically, when you run a school and you have a stake on the school, you become a full-time volunteer. The school is not for profit. We don't make a penny. There are no charges. It's free of charge. Have to pay. So I have that experience with me of how to create a school from zero and do all the fundraising that is required to run the school. Okay.
The public perception is that the current school board is dysfunctional. As a board member, what would you do to help create a functional board?
Well, I think I addressed a little bit that before. Yes, the board is very dysfunctional, and it's a shame, because I've been going to those board meetings and they cannot intervene when huge problems arise, such as what happened with Booker T. Washington. 100 children were sent away to other schools. People got fired, and it was just over freedom of speech and freedom of First Amendment rights. So the administration is very clear to everybody in the community that they're more than willing to retaliate towards teachers that speak up. A good example of that was that incident with Booker T. Washington. So I will make sure that there's a lot more transparency, that there's harmony among board members, that there will be no soap opera, so to speak. It's becoming like a soap opera, this whole thing. So we need stability, board members that will stick around for the commitment. And I'm one of those. I'm a person that is committed to education and nothing else.
Unit 4 administration had a large number of high-ranking staff leave. Why do you think that occurred?
Well, it's the same situation. For instance, they have decided that when parents or teachers or anybody in the community starts advocating, and by the virtue of advocating, you are, it's a tough situation. So they retaliate. And some people, like, I'll give you an example, Laura Taylor left because she started retaliating through cease and desist letters and no trespassing letters and spending thousands of dollars with the Chicago outfit. And finally, I think, I don't know, there's sometimes when I'm a firm believer that when things are very hot, you need to get out of the kitchen. So people just got out of the kitchen, and they left. So there's many issues that entail, and then the ambient is very toxic between the administration and the teachers because of all the resentments that they have towards the administration because of the retaliation that they face. People, believe me, people in our district not speak up. And when they do speak up, if you're a teacher, your job is in the line. If you're a parent, well, they'll go after you, believe me. They'll send you cease and desist letters, no trespassing letters, and so on and so on. And I myself have been a victim of that.
Thank you.
Regarding the Unit 4 budget, assuming no new revenue, would you want to reallocate money to other existing programs or new programs? What programs, and if so, where would the funds be taken away from?
Well, I will say that we have to emphasize less emphasis on sports, and relocate a lot of those resources towards arts, science, and more importantly, special education. Because it's amazing that our kids that are disabled don't get what they deserve. So I will have to, figure out how to find resources within the existing budget, and then if there is a chance, maybe go back to fundraising. I'm good at that, and start fundraising to improve the schools at the private side. And then you also have the taxpayers, so that requires a referendum. And I will look at the budget and see where the budget of this entire school system is aligned with long-term, very successful unit. It might be that we need more funding, but I don't know because I never sat down on looking at the numbers. But I believe that this is a very rich community. We're the richest country on the face of this planet. There's no reason why we should not have an amazing, stellar bilingual education or education across the board. So I'm a go-getter. I will start knocking on doors. My job will be full-time. I'm not going to go into this job moonlighting at all, like most people do, because you have to have your own resources to run and survive. But I can afford not to have a job. Let's put it that way, or full-time job. That's what I mean.
Thank you.
Are more resources needed for the special education program?
Yes, I think I answered that question before. And of course, all those children that are under special education, they should be prioritized above everybody else. So finding the resources to make that happen, that's something that we have to figure out. But there's no reason why we are in the current stage where we have to hire consultants, we have to fighting. There's people just fighting and advocating, and it's so tiring because they get a feeling that nothing is happening. So yes, special education will be one of my priorities.
Are more funds needed to address the issues of non-English speaking students and families?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Are more funds needed to address the issues of non-English speaking students and families?
Yes, of course. This is a critical question because what happens is when, and I'm telling you this by my own experiences dealing with District 4. Okay, so a child comes in from Latin America, and he might be 6, he might be 7, he might be 8. Well, the district has to and must assess the child in their dominant language at the time. And then once you do that assessment, then you say, well, he's a second grader, a third grader, fourth grader. What happens is we don't know how many millions of dollars we lose because misallocating children in the wrong grades. So it happened to us. My 8-year-old moved an entire year forward because when he arrived at IPA, International Prep Academy, there was a wonderful, amazing teacher there by the name of Rachel Gray. She spoke English, Spanish, and French. Guess what? She did an assessment immediately upon arrival in Spanish, in reading, writing, and basic math. Then she called and says, Mr. Molina, I'm sorry, but we screwed up on this one. You know, your child has to be moved an entire year forward. And I said, be my guest, go right ahead. I was very happy, but I was never expected that. My question is to the district, and I've been asking this question for a long time, is how many children are we leaving behind because of this resources that we don't have? We don't have bilingual personnel. And it's not only the District 4. If you go to the districts nearby, they're suffering from the same problem of communications. So, you know, I'm a firm believer that communications, if you can do it if you can meet them where they are, you have to meet them where they are with communication. So if they speak French, we should be able to.
Okay, we need to move on.
So it's important. Okay, go ahead. Next question, please.
The issue of assigning children to a school is difficult because of the need to balance the desire for neighborhood schools, socioeconomic integration, and transportation. There is the current Schools of Choice program and the 4 plans presented by consultants. What are your views on this issue?
Yes, that was a waste of taxpayers' money when they hire an outfit called Cooperative Strategies. I don't know where they're from, but they walked away with more than $100,000. Well, at the end, I was the one who was advocating for them to translate the final document into French and Spanish. And guess what? The district says, yes, we are going to translate it. And then corporate strategy says, yes, we are going to translate the documents and upload that information into Spanish and French. Guess what? It never happened. So then you left out a huge amount of people from our community in the dark. So, and then they chopped off the balanced calendar from, I think it was Barksdale in another school. The balanced calendar is the solution for the summer learning lost. And the obsolete, antiquated agrarian calendar, that's for 100 years ago when farmers needed kids working in the cornfields. So it's not aligned with working families because we can go 2.5 months in the summer on vacation. So what do? You leave these kids behind, unattended, alone. So
Okay,
this is where
we're gonna have to move on. Sorry, we're getting really short of time here, Mr. Molina, so I'm pressuring you.
I talk a lot, so I have a lot of information with me.
Okay, great.
School success is greatly impacted by attendance. How would you increase attendance?
Well, that's a very good point. Every family have different issues. So basically, the problem with attendance is just goes into to statistics, and you see, well, we had 100 people that came late or didn't show up. But I will hire social workers to start visiting parents to find out the root causes of individual families and why their kids are not going to school. Once you find all the whys, then I'll say, well, this is what we need to do to improve attendance.
Okay.
What can be done to increase student test scores?
Test scores. I will embrace the University of Illinois, particularly the Department of Education, and there are a lot of young students with a lot of energy that are willing to tutor. So tutoring also can be done with high school students, tutoring middle schoolers, or vice versa. After school programs, school programs where you help them with homework is very important. And not only is important for that, but it allows the families to work a decent job. Right now, the current school day schedules are from 7:30 to 2:30. So with this bus transportation that is pretty decrepit, then people are forced to drop their kids and pick up their kids and juggle around their kids. And with the 7:30 to 2:30, it's very difficult to hold a job. So the daily schedule of the school is not aligned with the working families. You'll be surprised how huge is the line every morning at 7 in the morning, and just sitting there, parents waiting for 7:30 to come in so they can open the doors. All those people need to go to work, but they should be able to drop their kids at 7, 7:15, 7:05, and then pick them up later in the afternoon so they can at least have a shift. But it's not like that. So the whole system it goes against working parents.
Thank you.
Pursuant to board policy, the board has the authority to approve the hiring and firing of Unit 4 personnel. Under what circumstances would you further pursue the superintendent's decision to dismiss professional staff?
Well, I will say that the Human Resources Department at Unit 4 should be independent from the superintendent. I will say I'll put them in a different building, because you have human relations, and human relations sometimes create conflict of interest. So I will strip away the ability of the superintendent to hire and fire, because also what we have in our cases, she hired her own team. She brought in her own team, Dr. Boozer. So then when you hire somebody and you bring them from your hometown, or they're friends of yours or whatever, then your intelligence is compromised. Because if that person is not performing and you hire them and you like them and they're friends of yours, you might just keep them. So I think the board needs to have a, right now you can't do nothing with the board because they're 3-3, so it's totally dysfunctional. So even the board cannot intervene on firing or dismissing or hiring. Well, hiring, yes, but dismissing, they cannot intervene because it's 3-3. So you need a quorum. So individual board members cannot intervene, such as the disaster that was at Booker T. Washington, where almost the entire school was dismantled. So yeah, so that's we need to make more the human resources department need to be a lot more independent.
Okay. Next.
It seems a number of basic questions that the board members asked have gone unanswered. What would you do to make sure the board members' questions are answered?
Yes, I experienced that myself, because I've been going to those board meetings and expressing myself for 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Yeah, nobody replies, even though the information sheet that you get, where you fill up what you're going to say or whatever, and then it says, would you like somebody to reply to you from the administration or the board or whoever, and then you mark it yes, but that never happens. That never happens. I have never gotten a single email from my comments after I have written there to please get back to me, especially with bullying and molesting. That's a huge problem that needs to be addressed. And I know it's uncomfortable to deal with bullying. I know it's difficult to deal with bullying. But what the district does is, instead of investigating and finding solutions, they will retaliate from parents that are demanding investigation, that are demanding for the bullying to stop.
Yeah.
And, bullying is,
I'm afraid we've run out of time. We scheduled these perhaps a little too closely together, but can you go to the last question?
Yeah. Under Unit 4's contract with Superintendent Boozer, the school board would terminate the contract 1 year by acting by May 31st, 2025. Would you vote to terminate the contract at that time? Why or why not?
yes, I did answer that question through the Gazette, because that question was asked, would you renew the contract of the superintendent? And I clearly said that I will not. And the whys are, bullying and molesting students needs to stop. There's no other way. Intimidation, the ambient that has been created over intimidating people, whether they're parents or teachers, over their First Amendment rights, the freedom of speech, the freedom of express yourself, your freedom to write a letter and distribute it. That doesn't exist. They will push back on it. And they've been pushing back on my letters for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. So sorry, we've run out of time. So thank you very much. It's one of the most important duties of a citizen to step up and run for elected office. And we know school board is very difficult. So thank you for doing that.
I'm going to stick around and here to make a difference and nothing else, and have a wonderful day. And
okay, thank you.